Hello, everyone, and thank you for joining us today for Winning in E-commerce with Email Marketing. We're joined here by Stirling Soap Co. And now, running an e-commerce business comes with its fair share of challenges, from logistical challenges to figuring out when to step up and scale, to finding the right people to add to your team. And then, of course, with your already limited resources, you also have marketing to worry about. And when it comes to email marketing and e-commerce, winning means getting the right messages and products in front of the right people at the right times. But that means oftentimes digging deeper into your data and going beyond promo blasts sent to your entire contact list. It also means striking that right balance between sending too much and sending too little. So how do busy e-commerce sellers get it done and start adding more to their bottom line? Well, here at Constant Contact, we're on a mission to help you do just that by providing you the practical marketing advice along with easy to use tools to get you real results for your business. Now, to that end, we've developed a new email package specifically for those of you in e-commerce. We have a short video. Let's take a look.
Is your business all about selling online? Want to sell a whole lot more? It starts with giving your customers more of what they want. And we've got just the thing to help you do it. Introducing Ecommerce Pro from Constant Contact, the first ever e-commerce marketing automation platform to use artificial intelligence to predict exactly what your customers want, so you can quickly and easily target them with the right email message at just the right time, every time. Ecommerce Pro's AI technology does the busy work for you, automatically testing and choosing the best performing subject lines, email content, delivery times, product recommendations, and more. The result? More clicks, more opens, and more purchases, 45% more. The secret is in Ecommerce Pro's seamless integration with your favorite platforms to get all your data in one place. Our AI then slices and dices that data into segments to target your marketing and drive better engagement. Ecommerce Pro even comes with pre-built automation workflows to ensure your emails get to the right prospects or customers, no matter where they are in their buying journey. And each email is optimized for an individual recipient based on AI insights. With Ecommerce Pro, you can easily track campaign performance, individual buyer preferences, and predicted trends, all in a user-friendly interface. Plus, you'll get all the personal coaching and support that Constant Contact is famous for, and so much more. To get all the details on this game-changing platform, schedule a live Ecommerce Pro demo today.
Excellent. So hopefully that gives you a little taste of what we're talking about here. And clearly, e-commerce is booming at the moment. And whether you're just getting started or have been around for a while, we want to make sure that you're doing all that you can to get the most out of your business. And to that end, my name is Dave Charest, and I'm the Director of Content Marketing here at Constant Contact. And I'd like to thank you for choosing to spend some time with us here today. Now, our topic today, as I mentioned, is winning in e-commerce with email marketing. And we're going to be joined by the owners of Stirling Soap Co. here in a moment. And they're a Constant Contact customer and an e-commerce business that's been around since 2012. And today they're joining us to discuss how they've grown their business over the last 8 years, the marketing tools and strategies that they use to sell more and reach more people, and how they use AI technology to sell even more with email marketing. So please join me in welcoming Rod and Mandy, the co-owners and husband and wife team behind Stirling Soap Company. Rod, Mandy, are you there? Hey, they are. Hello, hello. Welcome, and so great to have you here to share your experience and perspective with other e-commerce businesses joining us here today. Just for people's edification here, we're going to spend probably about 40 to 45 minutes chatting, and then we'll open it up for Q&A. So as I mentioned earlier, please do send in those questions. And just to remind you, we can't get to all of the questions, but do send them in and we'll do our best to answer them either in a follow-up email that comes out later. So Rod, Mandy, to start, why don't you tell us a little bit about Stirling Soap Company? What's the business and how did you guys get started?
So we are a soap company, obviously. We specialize in wet shaving products, your traditional brush and mug, shaving soap, and all of the complementary hygiene products that go along with that. Everything from bath soap and shampoo bars, lip balms, aftershaves and colognes, things like that.
Cool. And how did you get?
Yeah, sorry.
I was gonna say, how did you guys get started in that?
So we took a trip to Scotland, and it was a much needed vacation and kind of belated honeymoon, and it really inspired us to want to create something that was reflective of their lifestyle and their culture and everything, just kind of relaxed and natural.
And I also, before I got out of the Army, I had started wet shaving. I used to have really bad problems with ingrown hairs and razor bumps and razor burn, things like that. So a friend had suggested I try old style wet shaving with a safety razor and a brush and soap, and it worked wonders for my skin and the issues that I used to have along my neck. And somewhere within a year of us having started to make bath soap, I thought I could probably make a better shave soap than what I've been paying, $20 a puck for. So we tried it out, and that's kind of what led to where we're at today, where we're one of the main artisans known around the world for the resurgence of traditional wet shaving.
So I love it. I'm actually excited about that because I'm at the tail end of a soap that I'm using for, when I trim this thing up. And so I'm like, oh, great. Now I know where I can get some better soap. So I'm excited about that. So you're gaining a customer here today too. So if I'm not mistaken, your business is, from our conversations, like 99% e-commerce, but you also do have like a local storefront, correct?
Yes. So we used to be co-located with our home for the first 6 years. And at the beginning of 2019, we moved into a downtown location. Real estate's pretty inexpensive here in rural Arkansas. And so we renovated a building because we needed more space. We were growing very rapidly. And so we moved downtown, and we've been here ever since. So we have the retail side of that, so that our local customers can come in and shop. We get people from out of town all the time that make their way across state lines just to come and see us. But the majority of our business, yes, is e-commerce.
We never actually intended to have a storefront. We bought the building. The buildings that we bought down here, they're all on the National Historic Register, and we thought it would be neat to kind of restore them and kind of bring back some of their former glory, because it's a really neat historic downtown, but they were in bad disrepair. But for us, because we were e-commerce, it was just cheap location. We couldn't afford to continue to spend money to expand the metal building we were working out of, so we bought that first building, restored it to move the soap company in, and it was just going to remain e-commerce. But we had so many people from the town that, as we were working on the restoration, stopped by and thanked us for what we were doing and told us how excited they were that we were going to be opening up a store. And we really didn't have the heart to tell them that we didn't intend to open a store. So we're like, okay, let's go ahead and jump into this, and we'll open the storefront. But still, 99% of our business is online. We sell more soap in Italy than we do in Arkansas. So it's
really, yeah. Interesting. So, would you mind sharing, just so we can get a sense of the business, maybe take us back in the scale of the business, right? So would you take us back to, like, what revenue range are we talking about when you guys started the business? And then, where's your revenue in, let's say, 2020, at the end of 2020?
So year one, she and I both still had full-time jobs, so it was more of a hobby. I think year one we did maybe 10,000 in revenue, and it was at a loss. We were selling things our pricing model was terrible. We made no money year one. We really didn't make any money year two. It wasn't until the third year, when she and I were both moving full-time into this, we still weren't making a ton, but we actually turned our first real profit in year three. I said, so 2012, we did just a little over 10. And then in 2020, completing our 9th year in business, we did a little over 2.1 million.
Amazing, amazing. I love to hear that, right? It's so interesting how you have to stick with it, right? And really grow and do that. And we're going to get into that in a bit and how you've been able to do that. I want to, Steph is in the background here and she's going to actually launch a poll for us just to give a sense of who we have on the line here today. So what is the yearly revenue of your business for those of you joining us here today? If you wouldn't mind selecting one of the following, we've got 0 to 50,000, 50 to 150,000, 150 to 500,000, and we've got 500,000 to 1 million or more than 1 million. So if you wouldn't mind submitting your answer to that question there, and we've got some people responding here. Great, looks like, oh great, we've got a good mix of people. We've got a good mix of people in the 1 million, more than 1 million category. Looks like that's the majority of our people on here today, which is great. We've got some people in the 0 to 50,000, some people just starting out. So great. Good. I'm glad we've got a good mix of people here. We've got people across each category here. I'm going to give it a couple more seconds just so we can see what the results of this are for everybody here. Let's give it a couple more seconds here. This is great to see. All right, Steph, why don't we close that down and see our results. All right, so here we go. We've got majority of people in the more than 1 million category. Congratulations. And we've got the second category there is really 0 to 50,000. But then pretty evenly split in the middle there. So that's all great to see because like, I think wherever we end up here and a lot of the things that we're going to be talking about can really be applied regardless of the stage that you're at. And hopefully we can get everybody up into that more than 1 million category. So that's great stuff there. Thank you, Steph. So, you know, you mentioned, of course, you guys kicked into full time. And then that's, you know, one of the, obviously you can spend more time on the business and doing those things. Are you able to pinpoint any of like the main factors of your growth? And then maybe is there something that, you know, that has been most impactful for you as you've grown?
I think one of our biggest ones were like YouTube reviewers. It's a really big thing for YouTube reviewers to do a shave and post it. So we would have like a really big day for no particular reason. We weren't, we didn't release a new product. We didn't send out an email or anything like that. And we're like, somebody's talking about it. Somebody's done a YouTube. And so we would look at all of our YouTube reviewers and, somebody would have posted a video. We had a shave brush that was like that. And we had one of our biggest days, I think in 2015, where that was the case. And it was just a couple of YouTube reviewers had gone on there. Anytime we've posted to any social media, Facebook or Twitter, we've had good days on those, but generally all of our growth has been from word of mouth. It's all organic. We've tried different advertising campaigns. They've all been unsuccessful. And so we've just relied on word of mouth and organic growth.
Amazing, I love it. So on the YouTube things and reviewing, are those organic things as well? And after that, you started seeing that happen. I mean, do you do any outreach to any of those people, or you do anything like that, or how does that work?
We really don't, just simply because we want to. Like she said, we'd like the reviews to be organic, and we have a lot of people that do reach out that want, they offer paid review services, or they would like us to trade free product in exchange for reviews, and we just politely decline, just simply because we want to avoid any hint of impropriety or anyone being able to accuse us of shilling and they're being paid for it. I mean, there's been plenty of times where we've had poor reviews, and you go back to the drawing board, figure out what led to that, and you adjust and move forward. But it's really just been organic.
Yeah. It sounds like, to just hearing you guys talk and some of the conversations we've had prior today, I mean, it sounds like you guys really do listen to your audience, listen to your customers, and help let that drive you in terms of where you're going to go next with some things, and probably launch new lines. Tell us a little bit about that. Like, why is that so? I mean, where does that come from, right? Like, I think a lot of times people can spend some time, doing what they want to do and not really paying attention. And obviously part of that success is listening and incorporating feedback from your customers. So where did that come from with you guys?
Well, it's really, I mean, it's just been a necessity for our survival. I mean, there's been times where we thought, okay, we've got a new product that we want to push out, and then it really doesn't do as well as we'd hoped. And then typically anything, whether it be recreating a scent or adding a new product line, if we get enough emails from our customers or phone calls saying, hey, have you ever thought of doing this? We realize, okay, we've got an opportunity here, and we pounce on it. We'd be silly not to if we have this many people asking us for something, not to go ahead and provide it.
And they love it too,
Right.
when they see something that was their idea or their thought, their scent or something like that come to fruition, and it's marketing, it's marketed out there. They love it, they buy it, and then they talk about it.
I love it. I love it. So I'd love to talk about the dynamic between the two of you and making the business work and running the business. So who's responsible for what?
Well, he had his line of products that he would make, shave soaps and aftershaves, beard oils, things like that. I had mine, bath soaps and lotions and lip balms. And so we each had our own. We established that kind of pretty early on, what was mine and what was his. Since then, we've evolved as a company out of necessity. So we each took on apprentices that then took on the manufacturing or the production portion of the business, and they're now expert journeymen. So we've taken on more of the administrative roles. He does the customer service, purchasing, that kind of thing, and product development. And then I take on the marketing and taxes and website development, that kind of more of the tech side, pictures. And
that kind of ties back into your previous question about, what one of the biggest things that helped us grow was realizing that we couldn't do everything ourselves, and that we had to, by necessity, we had to bring people on. Because you get into a situation where you feel like, oh, I want to save money early on, and I'm going to do everything myself, and I'm going to grind, and we did grind. I mean, there were, what was it, 2014? We didn't take a single day off, including Christmas, Easter, my grandfather's funeral. We got what we needed to, and we got back to work, and it's just part of it. But where we really started to scale was when we finally admitted to ourselves that we simply couldn't do everything, and we brought people on and we took the time to train them. And it was extremely difficult, because while you're training these new people, when you're trying to do that first scale jump, you're still having to get orders out. You're still having to make product. You're still having to do everything else you do for the business while you're training someone else. But my, does it make everything easier once you have them in there, and you can step back. And then the further you're allowed to step back, and like I said, she and I are able to really manage the business, while a lot of the other tasks that we can pay someone else to do. And there's times where you think, oh, I would have done this a different way, but the truth of the matter is, someone else doing it at 90% or 80% of you doing it, that's far better than you having to do everything yourself. And we wouldn't be able to grow if we didn't. So, it's we still have a pretty good division of labor between she and I, but it works.
Yeah,
and
yeah.
We're together 24 hours a day at this point.
Well, it sounds like you guys have, right, you're complementing each other in terms of like who does what, right? Which I think is obviously, I mean, even just running a team here at Constant Contact, right? Like that's what you're trying to do, is you're trying to find the people that kind of fit in those places and complement what your skill sets are, which it sounds like you've got a good thing there. Maybe you could talk a little bit about staffing, right? So, where are you today in terms of employees, and how is that different from when you guys started the business? And maybe when did you hire your first employee?
We hired our first real employee in 2015.
Yeah.
We had some family help out. When we started the business in Texas, and we moved to Arkansas in August of 2014. And so right after we got here, we really depended on family for the move and to help us kind of catch up and keep things going. And then we hired our first formal employee in 2015, and went up from there.
It's slowly gone up from there. I think at this point, between both sides of the house, we're around, counting Mandy and I, somewhere around 23, 24 employees, and I'm hoping that we'll be able to add some more as we have the lead up to Christmas. So that's typically the 3 months leading up to Christmas is where things really start to roar for the year and decide really whether or not you're having a good year. So I'm hoping we'll have more by the end of the year.
Yeah, excellent. So just briefly, I want to touch on, obviously, right, 2020 has had its own set of challenges here, and many businesses obviously weren't prepared for what was going to happen. And, at a Constant Contact, like, we've been inspired by our customers who have really in many ways been forced outside of their comfort zones. They're embracing the idea of trying new things. They're using digital tools to communicate changes to customers and prospects, and a lot of times, many of them are even selling online for the first time. And so, I guess in relation to your business, how did COVID impact your business, and what were, if any, some of the changes that you had to make?
We stopped taking anything for granted. I mean, we had cut everyone's hours down by April of 2020. We cut everyone to 35 hours a week, and we were preparing to cut everyone to 30. And after that, it would have led to a handful of people being laid off. But we started, and this is something that we used Constant Contact for. We got a call from the county judge here asking if we could make hand sanitizer, because at the time no one could get it. Because we deal with so much ethanol for our aftershaves and eau de toilettes. I told him, sure, absolutely. So we started making and donating hand sanitizer to first responders, police, things like that, EMTs, just so that they would have access to it. And then once we had everyone around here in the city and county accounted for that they had it, we put out a blast to every one of our Constant Contact subscribers that, hey, if you're looking for hand sanitizer, we have it. And that we got such a huge boost in revenue for the hand sanitizers that not only did we not have to lay anyone off, we were able to push everyone back to 40 hours a week, and we ended up making a couple more hires to keep up with orders for the hand sanitizer.
It took us like a full month and a half to catch up. It was like 2 Black Fridays when we launched it to all of our customers.
And that Constant Contact email that we sent out, it got forwarded all around, because there were so many people that needed it. So we had customers that were telling us that, hey, I forwarded this to so many people, and like I said, it gave us a huge boost. And that massive dip that we saw in the first and second quarter of 2020 ended up, we more than made up for that.
Yeah. Congratulations, guys. That's unfortunate circumstances, but I'm glad you were able to do something that allowed you to, continue on and get everybody working and all that. So that's amazing. Congratulations on that. So I want to move specifically to talk about, marketing and selling online. And of course, when it comes to online marketing, right, where we're talking about using websites, online stores, email marketing, social media, and all of that stuff, and all of those tools really work together to kind of help you achieve that success. And so at a high level, and we'll get more specific as we discuss, but what are some of the strategies that have worked best for you guys to really stay connected with your customers and help you generate sales?
So we've always used Constant Contact, and now the Promo Blast as like a newsletter, basically, for all of our product releases, seasonal items coming back in stock, the occasional sale, Black Friday, things like that. I forgot where I was going with that.
Well, you mentioned YouTube reviewers, right, or something that stimulates sales for you. Are you using social media at all? Like I know you mentioned posting some things on there. Any other ways, or even a good question for people is like, what type of traffic does your website get typically now?
Oh,
I mean, look, I'll tell you,
sorry.
Yesterday was a pretty average day, and we had about 1,200 total sessions, I believe.
Okay.
During peak times when we have new releases, when we have Black Friday, things like that, obviously that goes up exponentially. We'll have, well over 10,000 sessions in a single day, but on an average, we're going to be somewhere around 1,500 sessions.
Yeah.
So we do use social media, and before we started the Ecommerce Pro, we had the built-in social media post generator. Now we take all of that information and we use, the social media business suite to generate those posts, and we see the traffic pretty regularly kick up as soon as those posts hit and things. But definitely as soon as the emails start sending out, the lines on our graphs on the website just pop up, and it's fun to watch.
Well, I want to talk about that a little bit, right? Because it's great seeing, I mean, we know this, right? And we're always talking about the importance of having email in any business strategy, let alone an e-commerce strategy, right? Because we see time and time again that that's going to be a main driver of what you're doing, right? Particularly when you're growing a list of people that want to hear from you. And it sounds like you've done a lot of this pretty organically, and in our conversations with other e-commerce sellers, we continue to hear that and the importance about having an email list so that you can reach your customers directly and drive sales. And so I know a lot of people probably here would be envious of the list that you guys have. I mean, I know you have over like 42,000 contacts. And so, what's your best advice for how to get more email subscribers? How have you guys been able to do that?
Honestly, I don't know that I have an answer, because there's some people that we've seen that here, sign up your email and we'll give you $5 or 5% off coupon. We don't do anything like that. It's just, we have a box there where you can put in your email to subscribe, or you can click a box when you place an order to subscribe. And we try to make sure that we're not spamming people. We don't even do it on honestly, I don't even think we send on a weekly basis, other than the promo blast, of course.
Well, the promo blast is the one that we send, when we do product releases and things like that. But we have the other stages that send automatically, that we set up, and when we set those up, which I know we'll probably talk about those more, but when we set those up, that was our main concern, was we don't want the customer to feel like we're intruding, that we're spamming their inbox, that we just want them to have useful information that they'll actually open, because if we continue to spam, they're going to stop opening the email. And then even when we do product release launches or product releases, they're not going to open because they don't care, because they don't think it's relevant to them. So that was our biggest that's our biggest thing, is we always want the content to be relevant. And
yeah, I love that. And I think, again, kudos to you, because I feel like it says a lot about your product, right? And the quality of the products that you're offering, because, getting a list to that size and not really focusing on building a list means you're getting customers and people are coming back, and people, are, into your product and the stuff that you're offering. So kudos to you guys for that. So I want to talk a little bit, you're right, we'll get into like the stages, and I know you're mentioning these like promo blasts, and those would be your typical, what I think we would typically think of as a newsletter. And so I'm wondering if you could maybe tell us a little bit about what your process is for those kind of like promo blast emails. Like how do you guys get together and think through planning? You know, what's your approach to that? And this is like before the e-commerce pro stuff.
We used to be really terrible at planning these things. We just kind of wing it, and I spend I still spend a ridiculous amount of time, you know, prepping it and everything, but it's always worth it. You know, right now, a promo blast email for me, because of the number of products that we're launching. So we start out making a list. These are the scents in these product lines that we're launching, be it shave soap, bath soap, aftershaves, whatnot. I get pictures of all of those. Any new products, I create product pages for them. The old products, I have to go back and update them, make sure that the prices are right, that the collection, you know, is right. It's not sitting on the sale page at full price, that kind of thing. Update any pictures if packaging is changed or whatever the case is. And then I create my banners that will also go on the website as well as within the promo blast email. And then I'll usually send live all the products, throw those banners up there, and then I create my email based on, you know, all of those products. So that's it, and it usually takes me a solid day and a half. Black Friday is like probably 3 or 4 days, because I'm creating a lot of product pages. I'm going in and editing. I pull all of my pictures into Photoshop and edit them and everything. So it takes a bit, but it's always worth it.
It's worth it, yeah. So I guess that answers the question of like, how is the work getting done? And so that means you're actually going in there, you're creating those pages, and just for everyone's edification, you're using Shopify as your website and your store at this moment, right? So you're working in Shopify to update those pages and doing all that. Awesome. I guess the question would be, when you do launch those like seasonal emails or the new product launches and all of that, are you in your, you know, the current, I shouldn't say current state, but your prior state to e-commerce pro, and we'll get into that next, but did you do any segmentation, or were you just sending those emails to everyone on your list?
We send it to everyone. We've contacted Constant Contact, I think on a couple of occasions when we've noticed a lot of duplicate emails and things like that. You know, we don't want to double send, and they've cleaned up our contact list for us beautifully. So we send it to everyone.
Gotcha. Cool. All right. So this is going to be a nice segue into kind of where we're talking now, and excuse me as the motorcycle goes by. Perfect timing there. So you guys were part of a pilot program for Constant Contact E-commerce Pro, and I want to just unpack this for people a little bit, because it's a little bit different way of thinking and approaching kind of email marketing. And so what e-commerce Pro really allows you to do, it allows you to take this different approach, that you're still doing those things that you mentioned to us here today, but you're able to really add this whole new layer of sales thanks to artificial intelligence that is really ingesting the data that you're receiving on your customers, it's analyzing it, and then really predicting what messages that individual contacts should receive and when they should receive them. And then additionally to that, it actually automates the process of sending those emails to the right people at the right time. And so where, you know, most people would be either creating lists or segments or just sending something to everyone to send messages to, with Pro, you're actually just creating what we've been talking about here. You've been mentioning, Mandy, stages. And what that does is when a contact reaches a particular stage, they start receiving emails that are based or associated with that stage. So for example, people in the new to your brand stage, for example, they would start to receive messages that allow you to start kind of building relationships with them. Whereas those people in the ready to buy stage would of course receive messages more focused on converting the sale. And again, the timing on all of this stuff is really based on what's right for the individual contact. And as someone that's, we were talking a little bit before, that's been in this industry for a while, this is really exciting because it actually, once you set this up, it's actually doing all of that in the background for you and making the best recommendations and sending that stuff automatically, so you're not actually having to go in there and do that work. And so I guess my first question to you, based on this information, what were some hesitations or concerns that you guys had about activating these stages?
So there were a few stages that weren't really applicable to us. They were the ones that included incentives, like, a $5 off coupon for your first order, something like that. I think the birthday, we have a loyalty program that's separate from this, so we didn't need the birthday email or anything like that. We don't. So our pricing, it stays pretty constant unless a product is going out of stock, or we just want to do a flash sale to generate some revenue. We don't put things on sale. We don't like the customer that bought, yesterday at full price to feel like they were, they missed out on a sale, that they were shortchanged, and then on the opposite side of that, the one who missed the sale by a day because they didn't open their email in time. Something that we don't want to. So we don't want to cheapen our product. So we keep the prices pretty much the same, from day to day. And so there were stages that we didn't feel really applied to us, and we didn't know if the program if we were going to be well suited to the program, especially with it being a pilot program. We knew that Constant Contact wanted to get as much information about its viability and everything as they possibly could. And if there were stages that we couldn't use, we thought maybe another company might be better suited. But they talked me out of it, and they did.
Well, good. And so I guess the next follow-up question to that, you're glad they did. So what did you find as a result of allowing kind of the AI to kind of do what it does?
So there were even some stages that we activated that I thought there's no way we're gonna activate these stages. The browse abandoned, because like we said, we don't want the customer to feel like we're looking over their shoulder and we're tracking their data and things like that. But because we were the ones creating the emails, we could do it in a way that made it seem like, that sales associate that comes up to you in the store and says, can I help you find anything, or whatnot. We could phrase things in a certain way that didn't make the customer feel like we were intruding on their personal information.
Yeah. So what's interesting, we did a little digging into your, account as, in preparation for this. And I think, again, you're doing your normal stuff, you're sending your promo blasts, and we were looking at a 3-month period here, which I think is interesting, right? Which upwards of like $22,000 generated just from like these stage related emails, which is pretty awesome, right? In terms of, and we were talking a little bit before about, obviously you're weighing this also too with, and I think this is a concern for everybody, but how you're monitoring what that means from an unsubscribe perspective. And so how do you manage, how are you looking at that? And obviously the AI doing its thing, like how are you feeling about the results you're getting from that?
We feel pretty good about it. There are, like the ready to buy has a much higher unsubscribe, I won't say rate, an unsubscribe number, but the percentage is actually much lower than the other stages, including the promo blasts. So we feel very good about that. That's always one thing that I keep an eye on, because I don't want that unsubscribe rate tells me that I've annoyed someone so much that they've gone to the bottom and they've looked for that little unsubscribe link and they've clicked it and taken the time to do that. As a consumer, it takes quite a bit for me to do that, and so we don't want to end up on somebody's unsubscribe list. But it's inevitable, and as long as the rate doesn't go any higher than average, then we're happy with it.
Yeah.
And
And it
just
also sounds,
unsubscribe doesn't necessarily mean that they're never going to purchase from us again. They might just say, hey, I don't need these, reminders and things, so go ahead and unsubscribe me. It doesn't necessarily mean we've lost them as a customer.
yeah, that's great. And then also, I mean, just thinking of, you mentioned the ready to buy emails, which again are more pointed at driving sales, and you might have more people unsubscribing there, but those are actually the emails that are generating the most revenue for you as well, right? So you're kind of weighing and looking at what's happening there. So I guess, a last question before we move into Q&A, because we have a bunch of great questions coming in from people watching with us here today. But, what would you say to someone who may be a fit for e-commerce pro, but maybe hesitant to try it?
I'd say the same thing I would have told myself, or I told myself way back when we first started with Constant Contact, is give it a shot. And if it doesn't work, the worst thing that happens is you say, no thanks, and shake hands and part ways. But it's always been worth it. And that's the same thing that we told ourselves at the beginning of the e-commerce pro was, well, let's give it a shot. And if the pilot program doesn't work, or we don't have the time for it, or anything like that, then we go our way and they go theirs. And we've always still got our Constant Contact.
There's really nothing to lose from trying it out. I mean, it does take a little time, but I mean, it's something that even if it doesn't bring any revenue to your business, at least at that point, and like I said, it's far exceeded our expectations. And as we continue to refine the emails that do go out to customers, I expect it to continue to grow.
Awesome. Before we get to Q&A, actually one last question. If there were one thing that you'd recommend to people on the line here watching today who are looking to sell more, what would that be?
Hustle. We're always trying to find new ways to find new customers organically, and bring people, we're in a very small niche market, and so we're trying to get people to leave that cartridge freezer and the canned foam behind. And so, but we have to prove to them that we're a better product, and that the luxury of wet shaving is worth it. And so we're just constantly strategizing on how we can expand the niche overall.
Awesome. Cool. All right, we're going to move into audience questions. We got a bunch here. We'll use the remaining time to do that. And the first question comes in from Dan. And Dan is wondering, how often are you emailing your list? And well, you told us before, you asked how many different lists or segments that you market to. So maybe I'll answer part of this question for you, right? But you typically, when you're emailing your list with those promo blasts, you're sending those to everyone. And how often are you doing that?
Typically about once a month. Sometimes we skipped months if we just don't have a product release coming up, but it's typically once a month.
Yeah, the promo blast, I don't think we've ever done more than 15, 20 times in a year. I mean, we do have segmented emails that go out for stuff like that, but when we're doing a full blast to everyone, we probably do it less than we should.
Yeah. And so just to touch on the list and segment side, because we're talking about these stages, right, which is really kind of, again, a little bit of a different way to think of segments and lists, like those emails, right, are things that could be sent. I mean, you're probably sending some emails right now that are just happening based on, right, being what the AI is telling and the predictive analytics is telling you to do, right? And so, like, I think there's just a different way to approach this, right, where you're typically sending once a month, but because of the information and the data that you have, the AI is then really sending the right amount for you, whether that's once or twice or 3 times, right? And so I think that's what's really interesting about this new way to really think about email marketing. Kamal asks, what are the 3 best ways to increase sales in my offers to customers? Have you, some of the things that you've talked about is obviously listening to your audience and knowing the things that they want and creating those products for them, right? So creating something the audience wants. what other things would you say?
So we try to present the different stages. We try to create different different setups for them. So different numbers of product recommendations and different information, just to see what kind of information led to more, conversions, as well as like just the number of recommendations or fixed products that you put in the, how does that affect it? That's really, because we don't do the coupon offers and things like that. We don't track that kind of information.
Gotcha. Keith is wondering, how can you get more people to open your emails? Anything you've learned along the way?
We've tried out different things as far as formatting. We've tried out, it's really, I'm sure a lot of it's going to depend on what business you're in, what market you're in, but we've tried out different things as far as the formatting. We've tried out, the catchy subject lines and trying to get something that grabs their attention just from the get-go, but without sounding like a spam email, something that's going to be filtered automatically to junk.
You want to give the information, the bulk, information. We don't like putting things in all caps because we feel like that's very spammy. So we put the general information, and then we use the Ecommerce Pro has that kind of subject line that puts it out, if you're in Gmail, it puts it out there to the right or whatnot. So you can kind of see it a little grayed out, and you put a little bit more, just like a catchy line about, whatever it is.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. So just so people know too, you mentioned it depends on the industry. I think, if I'm not mistaken, I think e-commerce is generally, like in all businesses, somewhere around like the 17% open rate for like just a general send. And I just wanted to mention, just looking at, your stats, and you're thinking of the open rate range for your emails in those different stages, right? So again, we're talking here really about sending the right messages to the right people at the right times. And just for everyone to understand, like those emails that you send in those stages are in the 45 to 50% range in terms of open rate. So again, there's something to be said for that. Again, getting the right messages to the right people at the right times, right? Another
stages emails have a higher open rate than our promo blast. Our promo blast probably double the industry average as far as open rate, but like you said, our stages emails have done so well at getting the right information in front of the right people that we're even blowing away our open rate from the promo blasts.
Yeah, it's amazing. Emily has a question here about I think this is getting into the technical aspects of how you create your online catalog. And so when you typically do this and you have new products, do you do all of those products all at once, or you do them in phases over time for launch? Like, how do you attack that from a process standpoint?
I'll do them all. Are you talking about like when I create the product pages within Shopify?
Yeah, I think so.
I'll do them all at once, and I typically do them by the cent, just because I'll have a separate Word document that has the description and then the all the tags that are applicable, because we've got a search and filter app that uses the tags for that. So I don't like to jump around and create like all of the aftershave splashes and things. I do it by the cent, so that and I just duplicate old ones, because a lot of the bulk information about what the product itself is, all the aftershaves are aftershaves, and so they've got this set of information that just duplicates over to the next one. So that's pretty much it.
Gotcha. How many, Sherry asks, how many hours per week or month do you dedicate to your marketing efforts?
Not enough. During the pilot program, while we were getting everything up and going, it was probably a good 5 to 6 hours a week. It still wasn't, horribly demanding, and there were some weeks that I just had to go to them and say, I'm really sorry this week has happened to me, and you know, can we skip or can we delay? And they were always really wonderful about it. They helped me create some of our templates and piece things together that I could just go through and approve and say, yes, this looks amazing, or, you know, change out a couple of things and put our spin on it. But yeah, it wasn't overly demanding, but we've definitely had to cool off since then and focus on some other things. But it's nice because we've got those emails that are essentially, you know, passive, you know, advertisements or emails going out there to the customers. So.
Yeah. What would you say, Kathy is wondering, what would you say is your biggest challenge at the moment, just in general with the business?
Reaching new people. Reaching new people that have never heard of Stirling to begin with. That's, honestly, I think we do a pretty effective job of marketing through social media and constant contact to our current customer base, but finding people who have never heard of this period and getting them to the website is always the biggest challenge, just new customer acquisition.
So what are some of the ways then, so actually Alyssa is asking, you know, obviously you guys have social media pages, so where can people find you?
We're on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, YouTube, Reddit, yeah.
If you Google Stirling Soap, we're ubiquitous enough that even if you misspell Stirling Soap, it's gonna take you to us now.
Yeah.
Well, that's good. Well, that's good. So, are there anything that you do on any of those those particular channels to try to get those new customers?
For Reddit, especially, you know, if we see someone that's using our product or they have a question about our stuff, I'm typically perusing it daily, and if I see an opportunity to help someone that's new to natural soap or new to wet shaving in general, I get on there and do my best to reach out and help. It looks good from a customer service standpoint, but also from a business standpoint, if that customer gets frustrated because they can't make the transition from a Gillette razor to a safety razor, and they give up, we've lost a customer for good. They're going to go back to what they were doing. So it's in our best interest to make sure that, and that's also something that we have set up with the Stages email. If someone buys a kit from us, they're going to get a handful of emails that say, you know, here's a video that's going to teach you to lather better. Here's a video that's going to teach you how to properly hold your safety razor and not bloody your face or things like that. So
how to care for your brush.
And you know, we use the Instagram and Facebook and other things just to maybe tease new products that we're working on, or, you know, tease some of our research and development, and just have, you know, something out there. Hey, we're still here.
Yeah. I love hearing what you're saying in terms of, because one of the things that we often talk a lot about is that idea of when somebody purchases a product, right? That doesn't mean to stop talking to them. That means now let's show them how to get the most out of the product, right? So they stay a customer for a long time. And so do you guys do those videos yourself, or how are you getting that content?
Some of them we've done ourselves, some of them our reviewers have done, some of them are other tutorials that we've, you know, other customers have put together. So we've got a list on our YouTube channel that we can send out when people request it, but we also use some of those videos in our constant contact emails that we send out. It'll have the video embedded below, and, you know, just we're hoping at some point to start producing a lot more of our own content. It's just we've got to bring a few more people on to take some of the day-to-day tasks away from Mandy and I, so that she and I can focus on that.
Yeah. Well, it sounds like, I mean, like, so that's a great thing to bring up, right? Is that you don't again, this goes back to your point earlier on, right? You don't have to do everything yourself, right? And the fact that you have those reviewers who are good resources for you that are teaching people how to do the things that you need your customers to do, it's almost like, you know, you're helping the customer, but you're also promoting these reviewers who are getting more viewers. And so it really comes together really nicely in terms of supporting each other in that way. So that's really cool. Yeah, John is wondering, do you guys have any interest in selling in brick and mortar stores?
Yes.
We have brick and mortar stores all over the world, actually. Well,
Oh, you do?
we have wholesalers, they're not our brick and mortar stores, but we have wholesalers
Right.
that carry our products, and so
That's one thing that we kind of trail on. We don't do a lot of outreach to businesses, and usually they contact us about asking to, hey, do you have a wholesale program? We'd like to resell your products, and that's how we get into new stores. And we probably, I'd say probably half the states in the union have at least one store that carry our products, and we're EU certified now, so we're carried in probably 2/3 of the EU countries, as well as a handful of Asian and African and South American. But we probably could do a better job of outreach, trying to find companies that, hey, would you be interested in carrying our products? That's one thing we've kind of lagged on.
Yeah. I have a question here from Terrence, who's wondering, could you share a little bit about how you use Reddit to market your business?
So there are a handful of subreddits that are marketed towards wet shaving. There's also fragrance subreddits. There are natural body product subreddits. We find various subreddits where our product is a fit, and we subscribe to them. And if something comes up where we don't go in there and spam our products, we've seen people do that, and every time they get beaten down and chased off for doing it. But if someone asks specifically about our product, or if they reach out and make a post asking for help, we go on and we go on and answer. But we definitely don't spam Reddit with our stuff. It's just we make ourselves available.
If we post information about a release, it's actually on the the Shave Bazaar subreddit that is specifically made for artisans and hobbyists to go in and put that information.
Yeah.
Go ahead and bring him in, Johnny. We do also sometimes, if we do have something going on, we might do a giveaway on a subreddit, because we're fairly popular on Wicked Edge and the wet shaving subreddit. So there's times where we'll come in and say, hey, thank you guys for your support over the years. We're going to give away a number of brushes or soap and aftershave sets, and then we'll use that it's good marketing.
Yeah, I love it. As you're saying that, I'm like, I just want to reiterate this point of how this is good marketing, right? Because you're not going in, because I think this is a trap that people fall into, right? They go to places like, oh, where can I go talk about my product? And really what you're saying is like, no, where can we go and help when people have questions, and how can we serve them, which ultimately leads them back to you, right? But not doing it in a way that is like, buy this and spammy, right? And so really great lesson to learn there, I would say.
Yeah, I mean, if you try to do that, I mean, it comes off as kind of a creeper, and it's just people forever doing stuff like that. I mean, that's a hard thing to come back from. So it's just being available.
Yeah.
There may be weeks where I go by without posting, and then I may post for 7 days straight if necessary. So it's finding the balance.
Yeah. So Rod, Mandy, we're hitting the top of the hour here. I want to be respectful of your time and everybody watching here today. I want to thank you for being here, sharing your experiences. Is there anything else you'd like to add before I close up here?
Thank you to everyone that watched. Thanks for having us on, Dave. This has actually been really fun, and hopefully a handful of the people that have watched, if they've been apprehensive about doing it. I'll admit I was apprehensive when Constant Contact first reached out. I thought, this is, oh my gosh, how in the world can they justify? But even only sending out one email a month, and the rate of subscribers that we have puts us at one of your higher tiers as far as our monthly bill from you guys. It pays for itself 10 minutes after the email's sent. And the same thing with the Pro. It has paid for itself many times over.
And there's enough analytics in there. It gives us a lot of insight into our customers' behavior and things like that as well. Things that we can
Great,
improve
I love
on.
it. Well, thank you guys so much for being customers again. Thank you so much for being here. And I just want to say a thank you to everybody watching and spending some time with us here today. I just wanted to let you know that as you leave the session today, you'll get a little notice that has you provide some feedback, and take that little survey that pops up, because we really do look at that feedback and want to make these sessions more helpful for you. I also wanted to let you know that from all of us, of course, at Constant Contact, we wish you continued success as you market your e-commerce business. And if you're interested in learning more about Constant Contact's e-commerce pro, we're going to share a link where you can find out if you qualify, and you can request a demo to see how you can start selling more in less time with the power of AI. If you're not ready yet for a demo but would like to learn more about e-commerce pro, we do have a free webinar scheduled for Thursday, June 10th at 2 p.m. We'll also share a link to that where you can register, so please do check that out. And if for some reason you're not in e-commerce, but you've made it this far and are still interested in how Constant Contact can help you in your business, you can start a free trial of our tools for small businesses and nonprofits. So we'll share a link to that as well. Rod, Mandy, thank you so much. And thanks again to everyone. We will see you next time. Bye-bye now.
Thanks.
Okay.
Sorry about that.